Hi, this is Prac with iRepairMD, and today we have an extensive build. We got in a Phantom 4 Pro Obsidian, and it has been crashed. And if you look here, you can see the crash is pretty extensive. You have a total shatter here. The bottom shell has been cracked in many places. Took a really hard landing now, and the ribbon cable has been broken. The yaw arm has broken off. What we're going to need to do in this video is replace the shell, the top and bottom shell, the yaw arm, and some more extensive rebuild. So in this video, we are going to be rebuilding a Phantom 4 Pro Obsidian. Stay tuned. Okay, so the tools you're gonna need for this repair would be the Drone Pro repair kit, and this is something you can purchase from my site, and the link is gonna be below. Also, we are gonna need a soldering iron to unsolder the motor. Also, we will be replacing the shell with no new OEM shells. This is from DJI. This is the Obsidian shell, top and bottom. We have the landing skid, and also we're going to be replacing the yaw motor. But first things first, what we need to do is go ahead and disassemble the gimbal. Okay, so let's go ahead and disassemble the gimbal first. That way we can get access. So let's go ahead and turn this over. Alright. And now, alright, so the first thing we're going to do is use the T5 screws. Okay? Or the H5. And we're going to need to disassemble the gimbal. And so you can probably get this from a Dollar Tree or one of your local store and get these partition screws holder. So yeah, this is gonna definitely require a lot of organizing of screws once you disassemble this. First thing we're gonna do is go ahead and work on the gimbal. So we're gonna go ahead using the H5 screw bit. We're gonna disassemble the gimbal out. All right, put that here. There are 8 screws, whole H5 screws holding the gimbal to the drone. We want to make sure we remove all of it. And as always, the last screw in the back right corner, there's a little silicone that DJI puts in. That is to pretty much to let them know that if this thing's been repaired or not. And it's how their warranty department figure out if this gimbal has been attempted to repair or not. Okay, now you got 2 more H5 or hex screws on the side here. Let's go ahead and take that out. Okay. Okay, pops out pretty quick because the crash has put this gimbal pretty much under stress. Okay, the screws here, the tip has a magnet, so you don't lose your screws as you're taking it out. Okay, so now we have majority of the screw. This one here the receiver is already broken off on there, so it just comes off with the shell. So let's go ahead and disassemble it, and I'll turn it over to the left side, and you should see there is a connector cable. Right, give me a close-up on this. Connector cable right here, okay, and it uses 2 Phillips, 2 small Phillips. So we're gonna go ahead, switch over, and use the P00 or the PH00. That is the Phillip size. Let's go ahead and take this out. Take the Phillips off. Okay, put that in its partition. And this is the main connector. Let's go ahead and lift this up. Okay, now you have the plate. Take the bracket or restrainer off, and now this is a clip connector right here. So all you have to do is go ahead and with your fingernails lift it up, and now you have this. Okay, so now let's put this out of play, and we'll concentrate on the drone itself. All right, so now what we need to do is, first thing we're gonna do is remove these lights off. These are light sensors. So let's go ahead on the lens, the light lens, using a flathead screwdriver. There is a slip right in the bottom right here, a slit where you can, let me show you, get your close up on it, where you put the flathead in. There's a little slit right here, and you can just lift it up. Lift that up. Okay, now let's go and rotate the drone. Again, let's go ahead, go to that slit area. Now we're going to lift it up. Okay, rotate it again. Okay, and now let's go ahead and lift this up. And underneath that, you're gonna have these tapes. These are white tape, okay, LED tape. Let's go ahead and take that off. Okay, so the approach that I'm doing here is called the working the outside in. That way we don't lose or miss any screws. Let's put this in a nice place. Okay, rotate. Let me zoom out again so you can see. All right, one more left here. All right, so now you have these caps. These caps are, these clear caps are for the prop guards. And we're not using it, it's to block it out of the way. So let's go ahead and we're gonna push it out. So we're gonna use just the butt end of this, or the blunt end, and push down on it. Okay, and now it should come off fairly easy. Again, blunt end right here. I'm just adding pressure in, like I have here. Okay, push down, free that. Okay, using the blunt end so it doesn't scratch. The clear lens. And now that we have that, let's go ahead and work on taking these hex screws off. And what you're gonna need is a hex, an H. You're gonna need a H2.0 bit right here. Okay, and that will take off this piece here. All right, We're gonna position that in a nice area. All right. Let's rotate this. Okay, so now we have about 2 more arms left. And again, this is something that I would recommend to those who have some repair experience. My video, I'm not gonna leave out any steps. I'm gonna give you the best angle possible to this repair. However, if you feel like this is a little too much, you can always send it to us and we can definitely repair it for you. But again, if you follow my video and the link below, you should be able to have everything you need for the repair. And if you're interested in the parts, just click on the link below. Should take you to my website, and we have pretty much every part imaginable for these Phantom drones. We might not have listed all of them in the site, but we definitely have it. So send us an email, take a picture, and we'll give you a quote. We can ship pretty much all over the world. It's a little more expensive to ship outside of the 48 lower states in the US. All right, so now let's go ahead and take the last one off. Then we'll be done with the motor side. After that, we have to systematically work inward to the shell. Okay, here we go. All right, so now, once we have that done, we're gonna go ahead, work on the second set right here. Okay, and that's also a H2.0 screw. And there we go. Use the magnet. If the magnet doesn't hold, you just flip this over. Some of these are like magnesium screws, so they don't have too much of a magnet pull, but either way, you should be able to take them off. Yeah, this thing has suffered an extensive crash. It looks like it fell pretty far, broken up into many pieces, but we see what we can do. We might be able to rebuild this drone with the parts, and only the electronics should be okay. Okay, so now let's go ahead. This one comes off fairly easy also. All right, and put the screws away. It's 2 pieces already came off. All right. Now we got another side here. All right, so now let's go ahead and tip this over. Get that screws off. You notice everything's falling off this drone right now. Okay, so now we have pretty much all the outside screws off. Now we gotta work on the inside screw. Okay, so now we're gonna do the inside screw, which are these deep well one right here. So in this case, we're gonna go ahead and extend the screwdriver, push this up, extend out, and now This is a T 2.0 also. Make sure you have that piece right there, and then turn. That's what I like about this screw set. It's very versatile. It took me a long time to develop or to find the set that will match. Okay, again, there's the other well right here. Let's rotate it. Stick this in. Make sure you feel a grip. So now you feel it's in. Let's go ahead and extend the screw. And now let's go ahead and turn the tension. And now pull it out. Rotate it. Now let's go ahead and feel this side. There we go. Do the same. Turn. Just try to get a grip on this. Okay. This one has cracked, so it's a little harder to pull out. All right. I believe it's already cracked. It's already off, but it won't engage. So this is already out. Let's see if I can just knock it out. All right, we'll worry about that later. Let's go and work on this one here. This is already out. All right, all these screws are out. Yep, all the screws are out. So now let's go ahead and unclamp the shell. Okay, so what we need to do now, because some of the screws, due to the way the frame has broken off, are lodged in here. So what we need to do is carefully remove this. We don't want to rip this off the shell because there are connectors that we're concerned about that we need to reuse, which is the compass linked and the other connector. So what we need to do now is just go ahead and we're gonna release these brackets. So let's pull the bracket over. All right, this is the antenna connection bracket, and what we need to do is go ahead and disassemble all these. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to do that. Okay, so now let's go ahead and release these brackets here. Just put the screws away. All right, these are the antenna, the OcuSync and the radio antennas. What we want to do is just go ahead and just keep note that you have. I would take a snapshot or write a diagram, because this has to be in this order. Okay, black, gray, dark gray, and the lightest of gray. Okay, so we need to remember that rule. Let's go ahead and pull it out. And if you follow my video, you can always go back to this and know what order they're in. But we want to carefully pull this out. You can easily damage this right here. So what you want to do is use your fingernail and just pull it off carefully. Okay. And again, fingernail here. Pull it off. Pull it off. Okay. Got one more left here, and this one. Carefully, I'm going to use my flathead and just pry it off a little bit. Okay. So now what we need to do is to lift up the shell. Work around. Also, there are two screws right here, one here and one here. These are the Phillips. Let's remove them too. I always almost forget that I need to remove those. All right, so the inside screw here. Let's go ahead and remove those. Okay. Okay, sometimes it's hard to get hold of this, so we can use a tweezer. Okay, we're going to lift this up with a tweezer, drop it in. Okay, now all the shells are disengaged. Let's go ahead and just lift up slowly the rest of the shell. Okay, and now I'm gonna let you pay attention to the front as I'm doing this. There is something we have to worry about. First, let's go ahead and free this off first. Okay, make sure everything is coming off of this. Okay. Okay, now that the shell, I mean, it's really broken up in many pieces, so we still have to be very careful. Okay, so now you have these antenna wires right here. Okay, I'm sure you can see it. I'm trying to give you a close-up. So these antenna wires, these are not antenna wires. These are the compass wires that runs right here. Okay, we need to disengage it because it actually runs through the skid. So these are very brittle connectors. We're going to use a tweezer. So with the tweezer, what we're going to do is go ahead and add light force to it, jiggle it out. Just carefully jiggle. Again, we're going to engage right here, and now just jiggle this connector out, and it should come off fairly easy. There you go. All right. Now the other side is the same. We're gonna press, hold on to this. Okay, that is the release system right here. Press down and jiggle up and down, wiggle it out. There we go. All right, so now we got this off. We're gonna go ahead and slowly navigate this out of the way. Okay, here we go. And now let's go ahead and get the overall piece. Okay, this shell is all broken up, so we have to make sure that everything is secure. So here we go. Pull the shell off. Now you have the whole shell. Okay. These pieces are now off. Let's go ahead and put this out of play for now. And we are going to be working on the components. Okay. Let's make this clear for you. We're going to work on the top components first. Okay. So if you look here, what we need to do is you notice that there are the LEDs that is somewhat soldered onto the shell. So let's go ahead and disengage that. We are going to use a micro Phillip. We're going to go ahead and push the LED up like that. Okay. Rotate around. We can do the same thing on this side here. Okay, so we're going to take these LEDs off. And that should break the fused plastic. There we go. All right, let's rotate to the other side. Do the same. This is a plastic well, which we can re-plastic well once we put the new shell on. And this is the last leg right here. We'll lift that up. Okay. And there we go. All right. Now, okay, so now once we have that shell off, what we need to do, we need to take the motor off, okay? See, the motor is actually, it is looped into the shell. So how it's assembled, it will slide, the 3 power cable was slid inside the cavity of the shell and then ran solder onto here. So what we need to do is the same thing. We need to go ahead and we're gonna take wire cutters and we're gonna snip this off as close to the base as possible to free it from the shell. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna free the shell, free the motor from the shell. So using a wire snipper, I'm gonna carefully take it to the closest to the base as possible. Okay, black cable in order. Okay, right here. Then we do the gray cable. Okay. Gray cable here. You can see how the kicking up. That's from the solder. And then the white cable underneath. Right here. Okay, now we got that. Now we should be able to free. So just pull on the silicone that's holding it in. All right, pull that off. And now we have all the cables. Okay, so this connector now can easily be coming off. All right, so now let's pull the connector off right here. Okay, so now you have a motor that's been removed from the shell. We have to do that 3 times, and let me get you a better angle. And let's look at this shell here again. We're gonna concentrate on this area. Okay, so let's go ahead and disconnect the cable. Black cable right here on the base. We're gonna do let's pull this out of the way. Now let's do the gray. Snip it as close as possible. Okay. All right, and now we gotta do the white. White right here. Okay. Now we just have to loop it off. Pull up the adhesive. And then just pull the motor out. Okay. Now 2 down, 2 to go. On this side, let's go ahead and rotate. All right. Now we'll get you even a closer up of this. All right. So now again, we're going to concentrate on the black. Putting my wire cutter close as possible to the circuit board where the wire meets the speed controller. All right, pull the black off. Do the gray. Okay, pull that off. We have white left. Now pull the white. Okay. Then let's go ahead and free it from the silicone here. And then pull this off. Go ahead and slide the motor out. All right, so now we have 3 down, 1 more to go. Okay. This is the obstacle avoidance sensor. Make sure you don't damage it in the process. Snip it. The electronics in this thing it can definitely withstand a lot of crashes, and some cases even rainfall. But as always, you know, this is not recommended for flying in the rain. Should always be careful. All right, let's go ahead and do the gray. Right here. Okay, we have gray wire pull off. Let's go ahead and do the same here. Free the gray wires. Okay. All right. we're definitely going to solder back on, but I didn't want to risk damaging the board by unsoldering the wires and then resoldering again, because there's a lot of components here you have to worry about. All right, so now this is the last motor and this is the white. Let's go ahead, and this is the last motor. Pull out. Now all 4 motors are here. And let's go ahead and put the motor out of play. We'll come back to them when we need to reassemble them. Okay. Okay, so now that you have the 2 motors, all 4 motors off, what we need to do is go ahead and take the main electronics and the whole metal chassis off the plastic frame. And in order to do that, you're going to need a H2.0, and there are 4 hex screws, each in a corner. I'll show you real quick. There are hex screws here, 1 underneath this cable here, 2, 3, and here, 4. All right, once we take those off, we should be able to lift it off, okay? Lift this off the frame. So we can go ahead and use the H2, extend this, okay? And now let's go ahead and take off the H screws here. Corner, this is a place, other corner here, okay, rotate that, let's take care of this corner here. Right. Then we got 1 more left. All right, so now we have the 4 H screws off. What we need to do is carefully free the frame here. However, keep in mind, we still have a GPS unit still stuck up here, okay? So let's go ahead and carefully remove it. And we also have to be cognizant of where the GPS unit is. Okay, so lift this up slowly. Here we go. And you see this GPS piece right here. GPS dongle, let's go ahead and use the tweezer, and we are gonna carefully unseat the GPS. Okay, now we have the complete frame off, okay? We're gonna inspect this to make sure there's no crack or any other component that needs to be replaced. Okay, so I'm looking carefully now. Look at the logic board here. Okay, everything here looks good. Okay, the connectors here, nothing is fractured. Inspect the cables, make sure no cable has been ripped. All right, so I'm looking at all the cable. This is the main processing cable. This is the onboard hard drive. Okay, and this is the ESC cable here. Optical avoidance cable, make sure that it's not NICS. Okay, this optical avoidance cable is NICS right now. If you notice, there's a rip right here. Okay, there's a rip right here. So that needs to be replaced. So we can go ahead and also, in this process, we're gonna replace the optical avoidance cable here, okay? Let's go ahead and work on that. Let me go get my spare optical avoidance cable. So what we discovered is that the rear obstacle avoidance cable has been ripped. Let me give you a close-up. You can see where the rip is right here. Okay, so what we need to do is replace it, and I have the right rear obstacle avoidance cable. Like I said, if you guys don't see it on my site, send me an email. Most likely I have the part. I have access to all these parts. So what we need to do is go ahead and replace the rear one. So in order to do that, we need to disassemble the ultrasonic sensor. So there are screws here for the ultrasonic sensor. Let's go ahead and take the Phillips off. Okay. There are 4 Phillips screws holding the ultrasonic sensor in place. All right, so we need to go and lift up the ultrasonic sensor. There's another screws here. All right, let's pull these 4 Phillips off. That should free the ultrasonic sensor up. Okay, so now let's go ahead and lift up the ultrasonic sensor. And now let's go ahead, we notice, let's run the cable around. This right here is the outside piece. Let me show you again. Let's disconnect the ultrasonic sensor first. Disconnect all this unit, okay? So let's go ahead and carefully lift these up. 1, 2. So now we have the ultrasonic sensor, and while we have it out, also inspect, making sure that there's nothing wrong with these and everything is intact. The only thing we need to replace is the rear one right here. So let's go ahead and take the Phillips off. There's 2 Phillips holding it right here, 2 Phillips screws. Okay, there's Phillips screws right here. All right, and then you have a black silicone adhesive that's water sealing. So I'm using my razor. We're going to lift this off like that. Now we're going to pry it out, and everything else is all sticky here. Okay, so this is the piece that we need to replace. Pull it off, and you notice there's a rip right here. There's a tear, and that will definitely, if one sensor fails, all sensors fail, so you need to replace the whole thing. Let's go ahead and take a new one out of the bag. Okay, so now we have the old rip sensor right here that we're taking out, and we're going to be using a new one. Let's go ahead and put the sensor on. Okay, first thing we're going to do is go ahead and line the sensor up in to the connector. So let's snap the sensor in. It should be, it's a push down connector. Should feel a little snip. That's it right there. And now what we're going to do is put this back onto here, but before that we're going to silicone seal this. All right, so now once we put the connector on, what we need to use is SGX adhesive. This is a silicone seal, and we're going to put just a little bit on the edge right here, and this will ensure that the continuous waterproofing will be effective for the sensor. All right, align the sensor back into place. And yeah, you never really know when you rebuild this stuff. Even though the electronic is really well made, sometimes the external cable that's running out is intertwined with the plastic component shell, and it can rip. You know, DJI did a really good job by building a really sturdy electronic system, and its hardware is really great. The drone is probably one of the best drones in the world, in my opinion. Best consumer drone, that is. All right, let's go ahead and put the other screws in. And the silicone adhesive seal will take about 30 or 40 minutes to completely seal. In that process, you want to make sure that there's nothing that's blocking the sensors, okay? So now sensors are clear, no obstruction, no haze. Let's go ahead and now put the vertical sensors and the pattern recognition sensor in. Okay. All right, so now the way that works is that it snaps in this way. Okay, so first thing we need to do, give you a better angle, is go ahead and fasten the ultrasonic sensor. Make sure it is snug in. And now let's go ahead and press down on the vertical pattern recognition sensors camera, and that's snapped in. And then the other side also. All right, and now that, make sure everything is nice and snug. Let's go ahead. All right, let's go ahead and put the screws back into place. Okay, I'm gonna extend this out so I have a better reach. Here we go. Phillips in to, let's do the outside Phillip first, the exposed Phillips. Okay, that's in place. Let's angle so you can see it. See what I'm doing here. All right, another Phillip here. All right. Rotate this carefully. And now let's do the inside. Underneath here. All right, first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this tweezer so I can guide the screw back into place. Drop it in here. Do the same for the other side using a tweezer. And guide that into place like so. Okay. And now let's go ahead and carefully screw this into place too. Okay. And rotate that. Want to do the same on this side. All right. So now, majority of the hardware and the electronics are in good shape. We inspected. There's no rip in the cable aside from the one that we replaced. Now let's go ahead and start rebuilding the drone. But first thing we need to do is let's concentrate on the GPS unit right here. Okay, we are going to need to free the GPS unit from the old shell. Okay, and we can do that by just carefully lifting up the copper tape, copper conductivity tape. All right, a copper insulation tape here. And then we should be exposed, you should be seeing the exposed GPS unit, which is on the top of the drone. And there you need, there's 3 Phillips screws holding it. And let's go ahead and take the Phillips screws out. Okay. All right. One here, let's put it on the plane. Rotate. There's another Phillips screws here. Okay, let's use the smaller head for this. Okay. T00 head is better. All right. Rotate. And there should be one more on this side. Last screws here. All right. Now let's go ahead and lift up the GPS unit. So, and this is the GPS unit. All right, let's inspect it. Make sure there's no cracked or the wires have been snared or no sign of shock. So this is actually in good condition. Okay, so inspect the GPS unit, making sure there's no crack or fracture. All right, and so this is in good condition. We can go ahead and reuse this GPS. And now it's time to rebuild it. First things first, with rebuilding the drone, we need to go ahead and start building the shell, the top shell first. First thing we need to do is build the GPS. Put the GPS back into place. This is the camera well or the battery well right here, front, back, okay? So what we need to do is go ahead and align it. You notice this 2 screw hole here, 1, 2, and then this is the other one. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and work on the front end of the screws first, okay? Not that aligned. Let's go ahead and put Phillips screws into place. Okay. Okay, so now let's go ahead, work on this side, put the screws into here. Okay, the screws here. All right, now we have one more screw left on the other side. Okay, let's go. All right, one more screws on this side, right here, and then we're good to go. All right. Okay, so now we got one more piece right here. All right, let's line it up. Spin. Add a little pressure. All right, make sure the GPS unit is nice and secure. Let's go ahead and even out the tape, the insulation tape. All right, so now let's go look at the back side. And it's always a really good idea that when you work with any kind of finish and you're gonna make contact with the surface underneath, put some tape, masking tape to prevent scratches, okay? All right, so now let's go ahead and put the main component unit into place and make sure that you know where the battery well is. So this is the battery opening, and this is downward, and this is up, and this is the front, okay? So let's go ahead and slide the battery and everything into place. But before we do all that, let's go ahead and engage the GPS. Let's put the GPS unit back into slot. Okay, that's very important, or else you won't be able to fly this. Okay, make sure it's nice and seated. Sometimes it takes a little nesting to lock. Okay, now it is locked into place. Okay, now let's go ahead and align everything. And then we're going to be replacing the screws back in. Let's run all this on the edge. All right. Okay, so now everything here is nice and secure. There we go. Okay, everything is flush. Now we're gonna go ahead and put the screws into place. Put the screw back into place here. And these screws are the H2 screws. Okay, so what we need to do now is go ahead and put the 4 anchor screws back into place to anchor the whole guidance system or the whole main electronic system in. Okay, and let's go ahead and use the H2.0 screws on this. All right, this is a little tricky, so what we need to do is go ahead and do the head right here, extend it out, okay, and holding it in, make sure it lines up, and then turn. There we go. And we don't turn it hard all the way. We want to go halfway, and then we're gonna go ahead and rotate to this side. Do the next one, that well right there. Again, be very careful. All right, here, and turn. Quarter way down. You don't want to tighten all the way yet because there's still a lot of stuff that we still have to do here. We still have to make sure it's all conformed before we tighten it. All right, 2 down, 2 to go. Let's go ahead. Go halfway on this. Okay. All right, little paint chip right here. All right, so there is a slight fracture on this frame. However, this is not a deal breaker. It's still usable with obstacle avoidance. All right, we can still use this. All right, 1 more screws. All right, let's go ahead and put that into place here. And now we can go ahead and fully tighten it on this side, diagonally on the other side. And then this side here. And then diagonally on the other side. All right, now that is done, we will go around and we're gonna solder back the LEDs, okay? These are the landing LEDs. And if you notice on these LEDs, there are little spurs on the shell right here. And then there's a hole in the LED, 2-hole notch. We can go ahead and line it up, okay? Line up, make sure it's flush. And then we're gonna use the solder iron. Okay, with the solder iron, we're gonna go ahead and carefully seal it. All right, and now it is sealed. It is fused in with plastic. All right, so now that is good. Let's go ahead and rotate to the other side, do the same. run it down. Okay, there we go. Facing, first facing this way. Then we're going to fuse it into place. Also, let's go ahead and fuse it. Okay. A little pressure, there we go, and that's fused in. 2 more to go. All right, line it up like that. And then we're gonna fuse it. Fuse. And fuse. All right. Same on this side. Okay. And this is the last fuse for this one. There we go. And now that we have this done, okay, so let's review what we did. We replaced the shell, okay? And all the screws that's holding the main component unit has fastened down to the shell. GPS is in place, and we fuse all the lights, okay? What we need to do now is go ahead and put the motor, these motors, and the motor again has to be in a particular order, okay? And I'll show you how to notice that. Okay, so the motor has to be in a particular order. Okay, let's go ahead and show you how the configuration of the motor would be. If you look at this, you'll see that this is a quadcopter, and these motors have on the white one you'll have the black dot and the white indicator for counterclockwise and clockwise rotation. In this case, the white is one with the white dot, okay, and then the black dot doesn't exist. Now it's just white. And the way this would work is what we need to do is they are diagonal from each other. So the front here, the back here will have white with the white dot, and then you want diagonally the motor to have the white dot here also. And then these right here, cross section here, will be the one that's black, and this one is black, okay? And let's go ahead and insert the motor into place. So again, we're gonna slide the motor in, the 3 power cables into place, okay? And then we're gonna secure it, okay? There are little connector snips right here, okay? And what we're gonna do is just carefully push it down to connect, to engage the connector, okay? Now the connectors are in place. Again, let's do the same for these motors here. We're gonna loop it in. Okay. Running it in carefully. And then we're gonna snap this in place carefully. All right, let's go ahead and rotate this side. Okay, so the white motor, white tip motor here. Let's go ahead and do the same. All right. Now carefully snap it into its place. There we go. Now we got one more motor left. Same thing. Slide in carefully. And then make sure it snaps carefully in. Okay, so now we have all these. Flip it over, and then we're gonna go tighten the motor up. Okay, so now that we have the motor into the position that we want and install, we're gonna go ahead and solder, okay? We're gonna solder the components back in. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, let's do one component at a time. Right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna run these wires, the wires into place, and there's a notch right here. Let's go ahead and put these into the notch because we want to make sure that when we put the shell back on that it's not pinching any of these wires. If they are, you're going to have an ECS error or you're going to have a non-working drone. So let's go ahead and fasten everything the way it should. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and drop adhesive. We're going to drop the silicone seal to hold everything back into place. Okay, and the silicone seal will prevent any kind of loose cable from preventing you from installing it. So let's go ahead and snug everything back in. Okay, so right here, I'll run this around, run the loop in, snug the cable back into here. So well right here, let's go ahead and do that. And then run the cable back into these slits that's available. These tugging slits. Okay. And then we're gonna go ahead and drop SGX on top. And we're gonna allow it to heal, to cure. Allow about 20 minutes to cure, okay? And again, let's go ahead and do it to this area also. Okay. Just run it around. Okay. I'll loop it into place right here. Then you have an opening. All right. Okay. This is a little more difficult. Let's go ahead and put this underneath. Protect all the cables, okay? And now we have that in. We're gonna go ahead and drop the adhesive here, the seal, to secure the cable. Do the same on the other side. Okay. Run the wires around underneath, loop it, and then on this side, like so. Then we're gonna go ahead and drop silicone seal in this area. Okay. And we got silicone seal here. Let's go ahead and wait 20 minutes before we can do the soldering. Okay, so while we wait for the other wiring to cure, what we're gonna do is go ahead and salvage the bottom half of the drone. You notice here, the landing skid is pretty much intact. Okay, there's no damage here at all. The wires, the RC wire and the OcuSync wire, in very good shape. The compass connectors are in good shape also. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rescue the landing skid from the bottom half of the bad drone. So let's go ahead by what we're gonna need to do is just remove the screws. So first thing we do is, you can see right here, let me zoom in for you. We need to free the vents. So push back here, okay? Now there's gonna be a little nipple you free this from, okay? Push it out, and now you can see you have the vents exposed now. Do the same for the other side, right here. Okay, so now we have two more to work on right here. So again, all you have to do is bend. So expose this little lip right here. Zoom in a little bit. Now once you bend it, you're exposing a little area, okay? And then with that area exposed, you can go in. Let me try to get you a better angle. All right, so once you expose this area right here, once you bend and expose it, once you expose it like this, you can use your razor and lift it up, okay? I should be able to lift the vents off, which we can reuse. And do the same on this side, expose, okay? Once you expose it, you go ahead. And what we want to protect or save are these nipples right there. Those are the ones that actually will lock it back into place. Let's go ahead and put this in a nice place. And now we have screws. We have these T2 screws, the torque 2 screws, and we're gonna go ahead and take those off. And let's go ahead and use our torque screwdriver. Go with the T2 bit here. T2. All right, got my T2 here. Extend it out. And now let's go ahead and put that into place. Okay. And now there is another screws here. This is the antenna, and then you have the right here you have the compass wires, and then you have another torque screw on the inside. So let's go ahead, get you a close look. Now let's go ahead and take that screw off. All right. All right, so now what you have are these cables here, and that cable will not go through the loophole right there, okay? So what we need to do is go ahead and disengage the antenna ribbon cable, or the compass ribbon cable off. So with the tweezer, pull it off, and then go ahead and slide it out. Slide the cable out of the way. Very carefully do so. Okay, let's go ahead and actually take out the other cable too. This is a connector, a push down pen connector. Okay, and that is the Wi-Fi or the RC antenna. Okay, now carefully snug it through. All right. There are some adhesive here, the silicone, meant to keep everything in place. We're going to have to free it a little bit from the silicone. Push it through. There we go. Okay, now we got that done. Let's go ahead and free that. So now we have this intact and in good shape. Now let's go ahead and free the compass cable and also the radio cable. Now let's work on this two side right here. Again, we're going to use the T2 screw. Free that off. Take the other one out too. Okay. Use a tweezer to pull that out. And now this is the longer gray cable. Let's go ahead and pull it through. Carefully pull it. There we go. Now we have this side to contend to. Torque screw out. All right. And then you have another compass cable here. Make sure you don't mix it. Let's go ahead and move it out of the way so we can get to the torque screw. Okay, now let's go ahead and get the torque screw out. Okay. Use a tweezer. I'm gonna pull this out of the way carefully. Okay, now again, we need to disengage the connectors. First, we're going to do the antennas. Pull off carefully. This is a push down connector or a socket connector. Let's go ahead and free that. And once you have that exposed and free, you should be able to pull it off. Okay. Here you go, out of the way. All right. And now we have the compass. Okay. And carefully pull the compass cable out. Okay. The compass ribbon cable. All right. Pull out carefully. First, we're going to rescue the radio antenna first. Okay, let's free it up. Make sure you don't mix it. Be very, very careful. Let's take this adhesive, additional adhesive off. Okay, everywhere we take the adhesive off, we have to reapply using the STX. All right, so now let's go ahead and free the cable off. Okay. Get the connector out first. The antenna connector comes out. You can slide the ribbon cable off. Okay, now you have two rescued piece here. Flip this over, okay? And then you can slide the compass cable out and also the OcuSync or the radio antenna out also. Okay. Out carefully. There we go. And that is nice and done. So now the shell is now out of play. We don't need this anymore. Now let's bring in the other half of the bottom shell. Okay, so this is what we were able to rescue from the damaged Obsidian drone. The landing skid is in perfectly good condition. All the connectors and the antenna cables are great. No fray or no broken connectors. Everything looks great here. The compass wires are perfect. Okay, everything is great on it. And then you have the caps. Everything here are all highly reusable. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and install that onto a brand new lower shell of the Obsidian drone. Okay. Okay, so now that we have the new shell in, what we need to do is know how to orient it, okay? So you have the skids, okay? We know that this is the inside, this is the inside, and that's the outside. Now we gotta know which one is, where's the front and where's the back. The best way to find out is that, well, let's orient this to the front first, okay? So we know that this is the back of the drone right here. That's where the battery goes in, okay? And the compass wire, which is the compass cable right here, or the compass board, is always in the front. So we will align this to the front of the drone, and the compass is right here, okay? So let's go ahead and insert the cables back into place. Here we go, insert the cable into place on each side. Okay, slide the antenna cable in, and now what we need to do is we're gonna run the compass inward also. So this is the compass wire right here, okay? So on the inside of on the inward of the drone, we're gonna slide the compass wire into the well, okay, like so. We have the compass wire here, and now let's do that to the other side. Okay, so the front of the drone will have the compass. So let's go ahead and do the same. Put the compass in here. Okay, now compass wire are all in place, and this is what we have. Second thing we're gonna do is connect the wires. Okay, now you have a short gray, short white, and a long gray. Okay, and how are you gonna figure out which way does the short one go and which way does the long one go? It's fairly simple. We simply look at, you bring in the main drone here, okay, and you notice that all the cables are meeting into this here, okay? So what we're gonna do is we realize that the long cable is going on this side, okay? So the long antenna cable, we're gonna drop on the other side since it needs a longer travel distance. Let's pull that over. There we go. And then this is a shorter cable. And since the connectors are right here, we're gonna set that also in. Okay. Okay, so now what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna go ahead and connect the compass and the antenna back to the skid, okay? Let's get you a close-up. Okay, let's go ahead and connect the compass and then the skid. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna connect the radio antenna back in. You notice that the compass has a radio receiver right here resting on top here. Let's go ahead and do that. So with this, we are gonna go and carefully run the cable through here, the first loop, okay? And then we are gonna run the radio cable into place. Here we go. All right. And this, you have to be very careful that you snap it in carefully and don't damage any fray pieces, okay? So now the radio is connected, you can see. And now we're gonna go ahead and run the compass wire in. Compass wire going in, okay? And the way the compass wire works is, see these grooves right here? You have the pin rough side and then the smooth groove, okay? The smooth groove has to be going facing outward like this, okay? So let's go ahead and connect the compass with the groove side, smooth groove outward. It's gonna be hard for you to look at. do my best to get the right camera angle here. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and fasten it in, make sure it's seated properly. Okay, and now the groove is seated. All right, nice and seated. So here's a better angle. All right, so now we have the groove is seated, the compass is seated, and now the antenna is also seated. Okay, that's done on this side. So let's go ahead and run the wire again, the antenna through the front leg. All right, like we're doing here, push everything downward. Okay, same on this side. And now let's go ahead and screw it into place. Okay, so let's secure everything, and now let's screw this into place. We are going to use the double 2 hex screws now, and now we're going to do the inside first. Okay, let me make this a little shorter. Okay, put that into the well. Here we go. That is secure. Now let's go ahead and put the front side in. Okay. All right, now that's secure. Now let's go ahead and work on this side. Okay, we'll make sure that all the wires are not clipped. So we're gonna pull everything clean. Okay, there we go. Everything is clean and secure. Now let's go ahead and put the screws back in to place. And again, we're gonna work on the back first. Let's go ahead and use the tweezer to move this out of the way so we can secure the screw in, because you don't want to pinch anything here. Okay, I'm using my tweezer on this side to push the wires out. And now I want to drop the screws into place. There we go. All right, now that is secure. Now we're going to put another screw here. Okay. All right, so now that we have that done, let's go ahead and work on the other side. Same thing. Okay, we are gonna secure first the antenna and then the compass. Okay, let's go ahead and run the antenna cable in first, right here. Antenna's a little harder to put in. Okay, now let's go ahead and position the antenna into place using a tweezer. We'll run the antenna cable right on. All right, and now we're going to pinch it or push it in to place. Be very careful. This is copper and it can easily break. So now that is secure, you can see. And now let's go ahead and put the compass cable. Run the compass in, and again, the groove, the smooth groove side on the outside. lining it up, holding it by the secure area. Okay, like what I have here. And now what I want to do is go ahead and snap it into place. Okay, and now let's tidy everything up. Let's pull these compass wires and antenna wires inward, clean. Okay, like this. Okay, we have a loose cable, loose antenna here. Let's go ahead and put that back in. Loose compass. Don't want to pull it too hard that the compass will come loose. And you notice how easy it is to come loose. So after we secure everything, we need to reinforce it with silicone SGX glue or adhesive to make sure that this doesn't come off. All right, let's go ahead and secure it. Now that's secure again. All right, let's go ahead and put the screws into place. All right. Again, you want to make sure that you are not pinching in these flex cable. Make sure they're out of the way, like I have here. Okay. And then we can go ahead and begin to lock it down. All right. Now we can work on this screw out here. Make sure it's nice and fastened. There we go. Lock in. Now we have the back side over here to work on. Again, let's go ahead and run the antenna through and then pull the antenna out on this side. Okay. Let's go ahead and put the screws in. Smush this out of the way so we don't get in the way of the screws. All right. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put the other screws into place. Secure the back side right here. All right. Lock it down, and then we do the front side. Okay, now that we have all the screws into place, what we need to do now is secure it. Secure the connectors with SGX. So we're going to use SGX here, and we're going to fortify the connectors that we have. Okay, so right here, I'm going to go ahead and start fortifying the connectors. Okay, so let's go fortify the connectors. Putting SGX on each corner. Okay. This will prevent the connectors or the antenna from coming loose during a hard landing. And get it back into its original position. Okay. Reinforcing it here. And then on the other side, making sure that all the connectors are nice and sealed. All right. Now that is done, let's go ahead and put the vents back on. All right. And so these vent covers are labeled. They are labeled 1 2, 3, and 4. So they are in a particular order, okay? So this one here is labeled number 1. Number 1 has to go with the one side, all right? So one side is on right here. Flip it over. This is the number 1 connector. Front right, okay? You can see where the slit is for the compass. Get you a better angle. All right, now I'm just going to slide the connector back on, and then go ahead and push this forward. You want to push this forward, okay? Push it forward so the spurs will actually lock into the hole in place right here. So we're going to push it forward. There we go. Now it is secure. Same on the other side. Okay, so now we gotta find 2. This is 2 here. And again, we wanna go ahead and set it in this way. Push this forward so that it exposes the spur and that it locks into place. Okay, so now 2 is locked. Flip it over. Let's work on the other side. All right, we got 3 and 4. All right, this is 3. Set the tab in. Okay. And now go ahead and bend it a little bit to get the spurs over and lock it into place. Now let's do 4. Same thing. Okay, you want to rest it in carefully. Okay, 4 might take a little longer work because it's a little tighter. Okay. There we go. And then push tab and lock it into place. Okay, so now that we have everything already taken care of, what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna run the wires. Okay, run all these cables to this side right here where it rests. So all the flex cable wires are running. You can see there's a few notches right here. Okay, and we want it placed so it doesn't clip anywhere. All right, so we're terminating it at the end right here. Okay, this one will loop around on this side. Okay, runs here and also terminates right here. This will run here and terminate here. What we need to do is we're gonna put tape in these corners to hold it in place. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put tape around. So we're gonna use electrical tape here. Okay, and the tape, what we're gonna use the tape for is to hold everything into place using black electrical tape. And that is securing all the antenna, and you want to make sure it is nice and secure so it doesn't clip. If it clips, you're not going to have a good quality or good range of your drone. So now everything's in place. One more tape right here. One more corner. All right, I'm gonna have a tape here, and there we go. All right, so now you have, this is the front of the drone, and we're gonna go ahead and put this aside and start working on the curing. Okay, so now that we have this SGX pretty much cured, and all the wires are positioned so where they don't clip when you close the lid. we can go ahead and start soldering, okay? So we're gonna solder the connectors back on. Before we do that, we are gonna use some alcohol. This is 99.9% electronic alcohol. We're gonna clean the connectors right here. Black, gray, and white is actually labeled. Okay, make sure all the connectors are clean and your contacts are good, all right? So we're gonna do black, gray, and white. Okay. This is the gray one. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna tint some of this gray ahead of time. This gray, the connectors is a little bit off, so we're gonna go ahead and tint it. Okay. Because it doesn't have the tint on it. Let's go ahead and tint the connectors. Tint the tip of it. All right, let's get this solder going. Okay, let's build a nice pool of 10 around this. There we go. And now we are ready. Let's do a close-up. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna line all this up. It goes black, gray, and white. Okay, so we'll line the connectors into place like so. Now let's go ahead and work on one cable at a time. We're doing black first. So let's go ahead and put the black in. And I will be using a tweezer to hold this into place while I connect 10 in. All right. So now let's go ahead and solder. Okay, so now the black solder is in place. See, it's nice and clean. Now let's go ahead and do the gray. All right, gray. Again, we're gonna hold this in place, and then we're gonna tip the gray in. There we go. Gray is now in place. Now let's do the white. Okay, now the white. Let's reposition this again. Let's do the white connectors now. Put white into place. Okay. Okay. Now that's in place. Now that you have that done, we are going to go ahead and work on the other solder points right here. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and do black, green, and white again. Let's go ahead and clean off the contact using electronic alcohol. Contacts nice and clean. Now we're gonna go ahead and treat the white one, the black one first. So again, I'm gonna use my tweezer here to hold the black into place. Okay, holding it in like so. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put the solder iron on. And some heat in. My solder iron's been acting up a little bit. I have the Radio Shack brand. I'm not sure Radio Shack is around anymore, but this was a good soldering iron at the time. I'm in the process of getting a new one. If you guys can recommend a good one, let me know with the link below. All right, so now the solder is into place. Point here. I'm not the world's best solderer, so excuse me. My solder tips needs to be clean occasionally. Okay, there you go. Now let's clean the solder tip. Right. Here we go. Okay, there we go. White is in place. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more solder to this area as it needs it. There we go. Filling up the solder. All right, secure. Let's go ahead and okay. And again, let's go ahead and prep the surface. With alcohol. Okay, make sure the contact all good. And then we're going to start again with black, then gray and white. So let's go ahead and do the black connectors, make sure it's nice and rusted. All right, so the black is in place. Let's go ahead and position this so it's secure. Want to add some more tin onto here to make sure that it is solidified. All right, so now we got black in. Now the gray. Let's go ahead, make sure this gray is nice in position. Okay. And then Okay, so the gray is now in place. Now let's do white. Okay, white table. All right, so white cable is in place. Let's go ahead and clean the area and check the connection. Okay, it actually looks perfect. Okay, make sure there's nothing that could cause this to short circuit. Okay. All right, black first. Line it up. All right, so black is in. Let's go ahead and do the gray. Black into place now. Now let's do gray. Okay, so now the gray, and then the white. Okay, what we need to do now, let's go ahead and clean off this area. Alcohol. Okay, now that we have this completely clean and all any residue taken care of, what we need to do is go ahead and put SGX to seal the connectors. Okay. All right, so each solder point that we did, we're gonna put SGX seal on top of it to make sure that it doesn't jump in humidity. Put a humidity silicone guard on it. So now it protects it from any humidity jump. Makes it waterproof. Okay. And again, we're gonna do it to all the areas that we soldered. Okay. This is all the area that we soldered. Let's do the other side. Okay. Go ahead and put all the insulation seal on top of all these. Okay. Now you got all four sides done. Let's go ahead and give it a break. Let it cure for about 10-20 minutes. Okay, so now that you have the top shell and all the component, the motor all soldered in, everything is nice and sealed, the SGX is applied already. What we need to do now is to make sure that all the flex cable and the ribbon cable are all connected and nothing is broken or cut. Do a final inspection, make sure everything is tucked away. You want to make sure none of the wires are clipped. or in the way of where the screw hole is, it will be clipped. So everything is nice and tucked away. Let's go ahead and put the top shell back on. Okay, so the top shell, you have the back end and the front, and so these are the front here. And what we need to do first before we do anything is connect the compass back into place. Okay, there's two compass here, left and right. The connectors here. Okay, let's go ahead and connect the compass into place. So we use the tweezer here. All right. So with the tweezer, you want to go ahead and set it in. So have this tweezer into place. And let's bring this cable down a little bit. Okay. All right, so now what we want to do is make sure that cable is facing the right direction, and then we'll snug it back in. Okay, so go ahead and put this connector back in. Put the cable, the compass back in. Just align it, and then I'm gonna rest it right here, and then insert it in. There you go. Now the compass is seated properly, and now let's do to the other side. Same thing. All right. All right, all connected. And now we're gonna go ahead and put the shell back on. So we wanna make sure that all the wires that we have are exposed and out. Okay, we're missing one more wire here, the black wires. Okay, let's get that out. Black antenna wires are out. Okay, so now the pins here are exposed. Then we're gonna clip this on carefully. Clip it onto place. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and snap this in place carefully. There we go. All the connectors are in. All right. There we go. All right, so now that is in place. We're gonna go ahead and put the screws back in. Okay. Okay, so now the shell are all flush. Okay, what we're gonna do now is use the double O screw, the double O hex screw right here, and put these motor back on. Again, we're working outside in. Okay. Put the motor back secured into place. I'm gonna do one set of motor at a time. Okay. And while we're doing this, we're also inspecting the shell to make sure that it's nice and flush. If it's not flush, you want to go ahead and correct the issue before you put all the screw in, because that would be a long endeavor to try to put everything back in. So as you're putting these screws in, rotating the motor, you want to make sure that all the shell is flush and the cable not being clipped. It's very important that the cable is not clipped. If any wires is clipped, your drone repair will be unsuccessful. Okay. Put this one in. There we go. There we go. Now we have the last set to go. Okay. Go. And one more screw for the motor mount. Okay, now before we go ahead and put all the screws back in, what we want to do is do a system check to make sure that all this actually is connected. Let's go ahead and we're going to put in the cable first, okay? Okay, so now let's go ahead and before we put everything in, let's test the drone. Make sure all the cable all properly connected and the motor is properly soldered and attached. So let's go and put the antenna back on. Okay, first we do black. Okay, let me get you a close-up on this. All right, this is a close-up on the antenna, and you want to make sure these antennas are the push-in connector, okay? And you want to make sure you push in and you align properly before you push it in. Else it's gonna break. So let's go ahead, put in the black first, push down, here, click. All right, now set the black aside. Now we're gonna do gray, the lighter gray. Okay. We're gonna do lighter gray right here. Okay, and then we're going to do the darker gray. And then over here is white. Okay? White on this recess right here. Try to get you guys a better angle. There you go. Get a white in here. Just the side, make sure white is locked in. Okay, now everything here is now in. Okay. Zoom out a little bit. And now let's fasten everything else. Tuck everything in carefully. Okay, like we have it here. And now let's go ahead and put the bracket back on. All right, so now we need the push down bracket, which is this bracket right here. Okay, and that should keep the antenna from coming loose in mid-flight. Let's use the Phillips screw on this one, the double Phillip. And then let's take the black screw bit. Here we go. Fasten it in, tighten it, and now let's do the other side. Same thing. Okay, screw a bit here. There we go. Now let's go ahead and plug the battery in and test the drone out real quick before we do anything else. Okay, now let's go ahead and insert a fresh set of battery to the drone. Put my test battery here, snap it in place, and let's do the system check. Power it on. Okay, so if you hear that diagnostic beat, it means that everything is working. All right, and you see the light. You get the red steady light and the green and red. That is trying to acquire GPS. And you notice all the ESC is working. So let's go ahead. And we know that this is working. Let's power down the drone. All right, power it down. And then just pull it off. Let's go ahead, flip it over, and now let's continue to put all the screws back into place. Okay, we are going to be using the 00 screwdriver for this. Okay, but let's go ahead, let's put this tape in. Put the white LED covers back on. Okay, like we have it here. Same thing here. Give you guys a better angle. There you go. Put this back in. Great. Rotate it. All right. Back in place. And now the last one. All right. Now let's go ahead and put the lenses also on. Okay. Put the lens back on. And you see the notch is on the other side. So let's go ahead and snap it into place. Here we go. Yeah, one in, rotate. Okay. Let's go ahead and rotate that in place. There we go. It has to perfectly line up in order for it to lock. There we go. And the last one. There you go, everything's in. Now let's put the prop guard space back into place too. Prop guard here, lock in. One. 2. And this is the last screw for this. Drop it in here. Just feel around, make sure it's locked. Let's go ahead, turn. Make sure it receives it. Then go ahead and turn. All right, so now the drone is completely done. The body of the drone is now done. The only thing that we have to do now is put the gimbal on and test it out. So now we're gonna rebuild the gimbal. So this drone is now completed. We can go ahead and take the blue tape off. Okay. And what we need to do is inspect around, look to make sure everything is flush and everything is tucked in, and it is. So this is the end of part 1, which is building or rebuilding a crash Obsidian drone bird itself. And the second episode, and the second part of this series, will be on rebuilding the gimbal. Okay, this gimbal, like my other video that I have before, this is a standard gimbal repair. What we're gonna be covering is replacing the yaw motor, yaw arm, and the flex cable. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Until then, fly safely.